On today's throwback, we are going to be having a look at the Toy Biz Marvel Legends Series 6. We're going to be looking at the unstoppable Juggernaut. Juggernaut is superposable, features 40 points of articulation, and also includes a 32-page comic book and wall-mountable display stand. With the recent release of the Marvel Select Juggernaut, I wanted to go back and I wanted to reshoot the review I did for the Marvel Legends Juggernaut, and then what I'll do is I'll probably put the two together in two reviews. The packaging features standard packaging for Marvel Legends. Has the comic in the back. We'll obviously get into that when we open the figure up. On the back of the package, though, the other figures that you can get in this line, this wave, we've got the classic brown suit Wolverine, we've got Juggernaut, we've got the Thomas Jane Punisher, Cable, and we finally got Deadpool. I believe there's also I wanted to shoot this review too, this throwback. Because I think at the time that I shot the review of Juggernaut, I joked, maybe some people didn't actually see the humor behind it or the fact that I was kidding, but I also commented that there was this unknown character known as Deadpool. I obviously know who Deadpool is. At any rate, the read-up on Juggernaut says, Kane Marco is a human Juggernaut. Once he begins moving in a certain direction, no power on Earth can stand in his way. Scientists would classify him as an irresistible force, and when he gets head of steam, there's no object that he can't move. The Juggernaut possesses untold power, mystical in nature, which enhances his strength and grants him an extraordinary degree of resistance to all forms of injury. Once he begins moving in a certain direction, no force on Earth can stop him, only his pace. Sustained by the crimson gem of Sidorak, Kane Marco can survive indefinitely without food, water, or oxygen. However, Juggernaut is vulnerable to magical forces of sufficient strength without his helmet. Constructed of an unknown mystical metal, he is susceptible to sonic attack. Aside from the sonic attack, quite the force known as Juggernaut. But that is packaging. I'm also looking forward to giving this guy a rating, which I wasn't able to do before, but there is more on the way, guys, on this throwback of Juggernaut. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. And looking at the comic that comes with Juggernaut, one of the nicest things is the fact that you get the first appearance, or I believe this to be the first appearance of Juggernaut, X-Men number 13, Where Walks the Juggernaut. Always the best when Marvel Legends release their figures with first appearance comics. I know some of them have been released with standard just appearance comics, but to include a first appearance comic is always win-win. Move the comic out of the way, and we'll have a look at Juggernaut here. The accessory that Juggernaut does come with is a ripped wall, a broken through wall with cage, a little gate there, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says the Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters, 1407 Gray Malkin Lane. Just move that out of the way. Salem, I can't even see that. Salem Center, New York. There we go. This displays are also something that unfortunately are lacking with some figures. It's a shame that more figures don't come with like diorama displays. Marvel Legends and Marvel Select figures still get them, but I always like the fact that you get displays with them. Shows certainly well, although small, but it shows well really with the figure. Speaking of the figure, let's actually look at Juggernaut, the reason why you're probably watching this review. A lot of people I know really love this figure, and I enjoy the figure too. It certainly is aged, in comparison probably to the Marvel Select Juggernaut. It looks certainly, it's probably a night and day comparison. But at the time that it was released, Juggernaut was quite nice. A very expensive figure. Juggernaut is one of the more expensive Marvel Legends figures to find. It's funny though, there was a toy warehouse sale many moons ago, maybe I want to say like 5 years ago, and I went in there, and I wasn't really a collector of Marvel Legends at the time, and I vividly remember, as good as my memory is, you know, being an old person, an old man that I am, I vividly remember walking in, and they had several pegs of Marvel Legends figures. You want to guess what they had at near the middle of the pegs? They had several Juggernauts sealed in package. And I don't even think, being that it was like a warehouse clearance, kind of toy clearance place, I really don't think they knew the value of it. I certainly didn't know the value of them either. But I believe the Juggernauts were sitting at around $18. Sealed Juggernauts. There was about 3 or 4 of them sitting sealed. Can you believe that? Can you actually believe that? Looking back on that now, I think, maybe I should have really picked them up, even if I didn't collect them at the time. But at least I didn't collect the Juggernaut at the time. Some of the details that I'm not a fan of in this figure is, like, for example, the blue painted veins. I kind of think that's slightly overkill, so to speak. But the outfit as a whole is really, really nice on him. And some of the real nicer points on the suit is the weathered collar of Juggernaut, where it's this kind of rusted, worn metal. It only adds to the look that he's had this for a while. He certainly has run through numerous things and people. The helmet also shares that. A few scratches and bangs, wear marks here and there. Through the mask, you can see his very creepy face. He's smiling. He's very happy, or angry, or crazy. I'm probably thinking all three. Something that I really wasn't a fan of at the time either, of this Juggernaut figure, is I always found his arms to be really, really big. Almost monkey gorilla-like big versus the size of the rest of his body. I know Juggernaut's quite a large character, but I never really liked the fact that his arms were always this large. Definitely did look very gorilla-like to me. His helmet is removable. You zoom in here. I'll just grab the helmet and take it off, and underneath, a very sadistic, consumed with power. I'm pretty sure he is. But we got Juggernaut's human face underneath. You got the veins. He's look at it. Look what's all. I love the sculpt on that. That's some of the cooler sculpts. Detail work there in his neck. The face really is nice. I mean, the face is a good selling point. I know most people generally would have the helmet on Juggernaut, but the option is there to remove it, unlike the Spider-Man Classics Juggernaut, which unfortunately didn't have a... oh, it did have a removable helmet. I'm thinking of the Marvel Universe Juggernaut. Shame, really, that figure didn't have a removable helmet, but oh well. The coloring is nice on Juggernaut, nice brown, kind of got that rusted red mid-torso. And going back to what I mentioned with the collar, he shares that same similar worn paint scheme, paint wash on his bracelets, I guess his gauntlets. Also on his, you want to call them brass knucks. It's very similar, I suppose. But the paint is really nice. I mean, the figure certainly excels in paint. In the way of his articulation, Juggernaut has a pin and socket head, meaning that you can rotate the head back and forth and up and down. It is not a ball joint though. He also does feature a pin and socket shoulder. You'll also notice at the back that which was common in some Marvel Legends, he's got the shoulder extensions as well going on there. You can rotate the bicep, you can bend the figure at the elbow, you can rotate at the mid-arm, I guess the forearm. You can rotate the thumb, you can also rotate the individual fingers. Although the fingers are already clenched, so even to move the individual fingers, you're not going to get a varied degree of posing. He has the mid-torso swing, just a swing hinge. He does have a pin and socket leg. You can rotate at the thigh, bend the knee at 2 points. You can also bend the foot and also bend the toe. A very large behemoth of a figure. I do certainly regret not getting more Juggernauts at the time that I saw them. It's one of those things you don't realize it at the time you see it, and then afterwards you're like, should have had a V8. Or in this case, should have bought more Juggernauts. The figure is aged. It certainly does have, it certainly is dated, I guess, compared to some of the other figures released now. But the figure is still really nice. Very large, very heavy, as you would expect it to be with a Juggernaut figure. Despite the fact I'm not still a fan of the really, really large arms, the really large gorilla arms, I'm still going to give Juggernaut a solid 8.5. A great figure to get, unfortunately a little more expensive now to find. Juggernaut is worth picking up if you are a Marvel Legends collector. Today's throwback, we were having a look at the unstoppable menace, the beast known as Juggernaut. I thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more throwbacks and spots to come, and I will see you guys next time. Later.